So today I'm going to show you guys how to use photogrammetry to take your physical model and bring it into your computer so that you can have it as a model in Rhino, whatever, and then just cut contours from it. So it's like basically the next way, the digital way of doing things. This is probably, in my opinion, a great way to design in the future because it's so much fun. If you guys don't know what photogrammetry is, basically if you ever use something like Google Earth before and you go into the 3D view and you see these amazing 3D meshes of areas, essentially what's being done is a ton of high resolution photographs are being taken of a site and that's being stitched together and processed to create a 3D mesh, and it's pretty amazing technology.
The AI,
does it use AI? I bet it does use machine learning and AI to achieve these amazing results. There's a video game that I really liked. I don't know if any of you guys play video games, but this game called Ethan Carter that uses photogrammetry significantly to create its environments, and this is just a great example of some of the stuff that can be done with photogrammetry. So basically what the designers of this game did was they took a bunch of photographs of features in the natural landscape and used photogrammetry to create basically 3D assets for their environments, right? So they can create a video game world. They just use photographs to essentially capture and bring in 3D information into their video game. If you've never played this video game, Ethan Carter, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, it's actually a fun game to play because it has some of the most realistic graphics you ever see in a game, and it's all built using this tool of photogrammetry right here. So you can see how realistic this looks. But basically, the reason it's so realistic is because it is a real thing. It's a photograph that they turn into a mesh. And I'm going to show you guys how to do it. So there's a tool called Recap Photo that you can download. It's an Autodesk product. At our office, we have this software as one of our licenses that we use. So you can just go on recap.com or Autodesk Products Recap Overview, and you can get a free subscription of Recap. I believe this is what you want to get, is you want to download the free trial, and as part of that, you'll get this tool called Recap Photo right here. And I'm going to open Recap Photo right now to show you what it looks like. So I have Recap. So Recap is a point cloud processing tool, and Recap Photo is a photogrammetry tool. We're just going to use photogrammetry today. So just go to Recap Photo. So I'm just going to open it. Okay. So as part of the test, I already tested this yesterday. It's right here. This is the final result. It worked really well. But it's super, super easy to do. It's basically all you need to do is you need to put your plasticine model in a well-lit environment with a relatively plain-looking, surrounding, so that there's not too many things that could mess up the end result. And you just got to take a bunch of photos with your phone. Just use your regular phone. You don't need a special camera or anything. So I can show you the kind of pictures. So basically what I did was so this was a model that me and Aneshka built as a test. This is in the assignment sheet, so we actually did this. And all I did was I just, took a bunch of pictures around it. See? I just took it in a sequence. I think the program works better if you take it in a sequence, so it kind of like reads the numbers in a sequence, so it kind of builds it like so. So you see how I took about 40 pictures, just a little bit like that. Then what you do is you have all these pictures on your computer, right? And then you just, in Recap, you go to, there's a 3D meshing tool here. There's an aerial, and so aerial is if you had a drone and you're taking a drone capture photographs of a site. So this is how Google will do their aerial photogrammetry. If you had a drone, you can do this to capture sites. So think about that for future projects. But we're just going to do objects. So you just click on object, and then just click in here, and then basically all you do is just select all these pictures and you drop it into recap. And then you hit this button, create, and then what's going to happen is this is going to send all these pictures to the cloud, I believe, the Autodesk cloud. And so you're going to actually need to have an Autodesk account as well in order to run this tool. So just keep that in mind. And I already did it, so I'm not going to hit create, but you can see up here it says it's going to require 12 cloud credits to process this thing here. Again, I believe with the free trial it should work, but I already did it, so I'll just cancel this project. And then when you're done, it will pop up into your cloud drive right here. So you just simply click on the model that you want and just save it somewhere. I'll just call this one test model or whatever. Oops. Or I'll just select a folder. And then you just download, it's going to download model right now. You can see right here it's downloading it. So it sent all these pictures to the cloud, it processed the mesh in the cloud, and then you're re-downloading the model from the cloud. So it's downloading, and then it should have a pop-up right here. This one is the one I tested yesterday, but this is the one I just downloaded, so just open it. And the result is 3D model of your model. Yeah, so you see how it translated the pictures, just literally these photographs that you took with your phone into a 3D model. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And you can turn on the mesh view here, solid with wireframe to see all the meshes for it. I was pretty stoked when I saw it. I was like, holy moly, this works really well. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna show my students how to do this, and they're gonna use this tool to like save themselves so much time, because just take pictures of it, spend an hour, and then throw it into the cloud, and then you're voila, model. And I think this is cool because you can imagine using this for like other projects that you're gonna do in education, where it's like, I want to design intuitively, I want to design just using, you know, artistic flows and that kind of thing, and use this to immediately bring that information into a digital environment without having to model. To me, this is how design should be, right? It should be all creative and let the digital just kind of like support the creative process rather than the digital like dictating the creative process. So what can you do with this mesh here? You can visualize it in a few ways. The first thing that I think is important is you got to clean it up. So you see all this junk on the side here, right? This junk on the side which didn't quite process correctly. Just want to trim it out. So there's a way, I believe it's in the edit tool, there's a slice and fill. So I click on this here, and then essentially what's being done right now is that if I move my mouse around here, let me see. I should be able to like move a slicing plane through this thing here. So I'm going to use this, and I can just check this transform plane box here, and I'm going to use this to kind of like rotate this slicing plane to kind of line up. The one thing about photogrammetry is that it doesn't always give you a very clean like sense of where flat is. It doesn't know where the base is, so you just kind of like mess around with it until you get a result that you like. So you see, like if I slice it here, that does a pretty decent job of getting the surrounding, trimming the surrounding out. And then I think you click no fill here, like so. And that means if you click on fill, it's going to literally fill in all the gaps between meshes with extra mesh, which we don't want. We just want to get rid of it. So you click on no fill and click apply. And then it'll do this little slicing model function here. Just give it a second. And then all you need to do is just need to use a selection tool here to select all the meshes that you don't want. So I'm just drag and select and then hitting the delete key, like so. So this is just clean up. And then you have a clean mesh of your model. Woo! All right, good. I'm glad you guys are excited. When I saw this, like, holy moly, this works really well. And then just save it. And then you export it, right? So you get his little export button, export model. And then you have all these formats, OBJ, FBX, STL, PTS. I believe the one that Rhino will take is either OBJ or FBX. I think STL works too. So I'm just use OBJ because that's the one I tested when I tested this thing here. And I believe you want to hit Y. No, you leave that unchecked. It doesn't matter. I mean, something's going to happen. Then just click export. So I'll just save it onto desktop. And then exporting the model. And while that's exporting, I'll open Rhino just to have that ready. So you can, I would say, see if you guys can test this tool as part of this project. And I would use this method to, I wouldn't say use this method to, I gotta debate within my head, is this how I should say just do your contours this way? Or should I use this as a tool to confirm your interpolation? I'll leave it up to you guys. I will leave it up to you guys. I would prefer that you guys do it the right way, which is to draw it. But maybe if, for instance, as you're drawing it, you get confused or things aren't making sense, you might use this method to kind of help you achieve a better result. And here's one thing I'll mention is that when you see the result here and you see when you cut contour from it, there's a reason why I don't necessarily want you to just use this method. Is because the contours won't be, I would say, realistic in terms of being really smooth. So it's still exporting right now, so just give it a second. I'll just pause the video. All right, so continuing, so it finished exporting. It exported onto your, in this case, my desktop here. It's this OBJ file right here, and also exported a texture map here. So it's cool because if you bring this to Rhino, it actually has the textures as well. Okay, so in here I will simply change my units to inches because we want this model to be inches, and then I'll import this model into the thing. Okay. So here it is. As you can see, again, the didn't necessarily get the ground 100% level, so you're gonna have to rotate it a bit. But if you go to like a rendered view, you should be able to see, like it brought in all the textures and everything. So it actually is like literally they just took the model, just put into 3D view. And if you go into like a wireframe view, you can see the detail of the mesh, which is pretty cool. So one thing I would recommend doing is, because again, the rotation of the plane of the ground was not accurate, you might go into, say, a front view and just rotate it so that this is level. So what I'll do is I'll just type in rotate, and then I will make sure I can snap to the vertex because meshes like vertexes. And since I'm pretty confident that this is fairly flat, I'll just simply select one vertex and then another vertex and just kind of hold shift to level it out, make it straight. And that rotates that. So that's the front view. Then I'll go to the side view here to level this out. So just do a vertex and a vertex, and then hold shift, click. So let's see how that did. Did a pretty good job of leveling out, yeah? And I might just move it down to 0. I'll hit the M tool. I'll click a corner, and then I'll do 0, 0, 0, and hit enter. And then I'll move that to a corner, and then I'll just rotate it again. In this case, since the sides aren't very even, you're just kind of like eyeball it in a way. So that is how you do it, and then you can just go into a rendered view. Again, you can see how it looks. It brings on all textures and everything, which is cool. And then you can add a new layer. I call this layer contour. And you're gonna need to like confirm the scale of this thing. So Luckily, I think it got it right. Let me just make sure. Let me just draw a line in this direction. Length 12 inches, so I got it pretty close. I mean, you're going to have to scale, make sure this model is the right scale. Length 24 inches. So it got the 12 by 24 inch scale of this pretty good. So this is in inches, so if I were to do, if this model was at 1 to 10 scale, right? 1 inch is 10 feet, so each contour interval would be, for this particular scale, 0.1 inches. So we'll just take this model, hit contour. Base point would be 0, 0, 0. And then I would go into a front view and just hold shift so that my contour direction is perpendicular. Hold shift, and then hit click. And then interval, distance between contours. Let's type in 0.1, hit enter. And then it's going to cut contours at 0.1 intervals. And then make sure that those contours are, they're selected right now, but I'm just going to right click and make sure that these are on the contour layer. So I just right click contour layer and click on change object layer so that these are now on the contour layer here. So there you go. That's how you do it. Now, and then also what you can do as well is you can use this to do your final graphics as well. So I can go to rendered view, right? You can create a new layer for like lighting. So type in light and add a, say like a directional light. Hang on. Let me disable this. Sometimes the snapping slows down the computer because this thing has a million vertexes. But let me just do this again. So I'll just do an render add directional light. So you can add a light. Let's go to wireframe so I can see it. So move this up, rotate it downish. It's kind of pointing at it. So now it adds a little bit of a light on this thing. So you can see it adds the shadow to the little mounds here. So this is how you would do hill shade, right? Basically, is you just add a light. It shades, lights the hill. Okay. And then you add your contours on it, and then it looks good. Now, again, the one thing I would say is that this method works. It works great. It seems to work really well. The thing about this is that I would say that when you actually look at the final result of these contours, you see it's very jaggedy, very, organic. Maybe that's what you want. I would prefer your contour drawings to be clean. So like these lines here don't have like completely random slopes all across it. Maybe I would prefer this to have nice clean slopes. So that's why I'm thinking as part of this exercise, maybe you do it by hand, but you use this tool to like help you so that when you're drawing your contours, you're not making mistakes. You're thinking, you know that what you're doing is accurate. But that being said, you can choose to use this if you want. I gotta let you guys decide how you want to approach this. At the end of the day, you need to have a contour drawing, and this will be one way of achieving that. So yeah, that's what I got. Any questions?